Wherever you're joining us from, this is still Enterprise Friday on Enterprise Television, and now to our main conversation for today. Federal government through the Nigerian Education Loan Fund on Thursday announced May 24, 2024 as the official date for the opening of the portal for student loan applications. The announcement was made in a statement by the media-led for the NEL Fund, Nasir Ayantogo. Ayantogo noted in a statement that the opening of the application portal marked a significant milestone in the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to fostering accessible and inclusive education for all Nigerian students. It will be recalled that on June 12, 2023, Tinubu signed the Access to Higher Education Act 2023 into law to enable indigent students to access interest-free loans for their educational pursuit in any Nigerian tertiary institution. The move was in fulfillment of one of his campaign promises to liberalize funding of education. The act, popularly known as a Students' Loan Law, also established the Nigerian Education Loan Fund to process all loans, request, grants, disbursement, and recovery. Although the government initially announced that the scheme would be launched in September, it suffered several delays leading to an indefinite postponement in early March. The presidency linked the delay to Tinubu's directive to expand the scheme to include loans for vocational skills. And to take on this topic and more is Cyril Abaku. Thank you so very much for being part and hanging out with us. And so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the story. I don't do this often, but I think it's an opportunity to give President Bola Ahmed Tinubu a round of applause. Don't you think so? At least so many people have said, 1 year down the line, this is just one among so many promises he gave prior to election. This is just one that he has, brought to bear. Don't you think he deserves a round of applause?
Well, let me say that in keeping with his own political philosophy and ideology, perhaps he does. But I differ. I beg to differ. Okay. I have always held that, in my own estimation of the way a developing country should be run, this policy is antithetical to the tenets of the welfare state that has the capacity to put. Why do we need education? Is it to have certificate and look for jobs? That has the capacity to put people out of poverty and make them become value creators in society. I think that what we ought to have done is to make education free. I've said the power in education should be made free. Make education free. Up to, in my own estimation, up to university diploma. Because indigent, more and more people now, since the president came to office, more people are falling into indigence. And the student loan scheme is not what will bring them back to school. It's not what will take them to school. It's not an encouraging policy. This is an IMF policy that says the poor should pay or be punished for their poverty. Because let's face it, in our country, where are the jobs that will enable you to obtain it and to repay? Where are the civil servants earning millions that will come and sign shorty for you?
And knowing that minimum wage from the federal government.
And what is minimum? Yes, so are we this policy will push more people out of schools. There is so much lacked coordination that schools began to, they've redone on subsidy that they used to give to universities. So much so that schools began to hike. Look at now, UI and those places, the fees have skyrocketed into hundreds of thousands. Then the schools are doing that in preparation for the bill to come on stream. So the federal government just in March said, oh, no, the bill was, people shouted and said, look, stop this game, stop this drama. Stop it. You cannot propose a policy, middle of the road. Is it that they didn't know what we were doing? They didn't think it too properly. That's why they said, no, take the bill back. We're not yet ready. Then maybe they went and added some other things. What we should have done, for me, is to identify, Jonathan had this You Win program. right? Yes, people that have ideas that can learn skills, send them to places where they can learn these skills. If possible, free of charge. Look, we need to first of all create the people that can create the society that we want to see first. If it were that we had been running free education for, let's say, for the past 20 years, and we've pushed, and the economy was doing well, and we've pushed, let's say, up to 60 million people out of that bracket. Okay? Now, we can say that we are going to put a cap on it. So that way, those who have gone can cater for those who are coming behind. But we've not done that. You cannot just come in the middle of the road and say suddenly, student loan scheme. What does that mean? How many people can afford it?
Now, I would love you to compare two eras, from the 50s to the 70s, where people like Bola Ahmed Tinubu enjoyed, free education. They were given all that they needed. They were fed well even while they were still in school. What do you think that era is like compared to this era where, monies are not coming into the federal coffers the way it should come in as against what it were?
Well, let's not say money is not coming. Money is coming, but I think it's being stolen. Because all the oil that is being stolen in the Niger Delta, that they said at one terminal, they were stealing 98% of what was being produced. And at in Delta State, there was a particular, boat or point where they were siphoning oil. That it had been there for 20-something years or so, or 18 years. That's not theft. It can't be theft. And when the soldiers went and saw it, they blew it. What they didn't blew, they destroyed the evidence. Because you can't put something on a pipe that has been draining your oil for almost 18 to 20 years. You didn't know, you didn't sight, you are not aware, you didn't see it. Should I believe that? I should not. So money is coming, but it's being stolen. That's one. Number two is the fact that, you see, the Nigeria of that era, and the Nigeria, that was an era in which our leaders understood what we needed education for. And let me define it. We need education because historically we are a disempowered people. We are disadvantaged. One, colonialism, slavery took our people away. Two, slavery one. Then colonialism also came and crushed our spirits. We lost a lot of the things that we were organically civilizing with. I give you examples. In Benin, Bonny Island, Benin Kingdom, and other places, they were using palm oil to build street lights. That was the first time the world had street lights ever.
As oil for...
Yes, they were using oil to they were refining it and then using it to power street lights. It was even as at that time, China didn't have that. Even Europe didn't have that. So we are civilizing at our own pace. You know what I mean? Today now, our people that practice trado, medical, whatever, they are the backwaters of medicine. But you know that Western medicine and Eastern medicine are two different things. They are not the same. Western medicine has this, but in the East, India, China, they have their own acupuncture and things like that. They practice our medicine. But in Africa or even Nigeria, our own medicine is relegated to the background. Whether I'm making a case for it or not is a secondary question. But the fact is that we are now, people, it's like in football, maybe we've considered 2 or 3 goals. We are now fighting to equalize and possibly win. So what kind of education do we need to give us a voice in the Committee of Nations? You can't be taxing poor families to pay for the education. You give to them free because one, they may never know the value. A country in which people are doing music, shaking bum on the stage, and saying that they're making billions. That's the same economy in which you tell me that if I should go to school, they ask who school help. Even those who are going to school are coming back and looking for jobs. There are graduates who have turned into Uber drivers and is that what they should be doing? When Govt advertised for what's it called? Truck drivers. PhD holders were that's the shame of a nation. So we are asking, what do we need education for? You hear questions that in Japan and China, 10-year-olds are producing toys and stuff like that. It's education. That's what they want to be. You hear China say they are going to produce 10 million millionaires in the next 10 years, and they produce them. The government, the reason we submitted our freedom to the government is because they will not be able to use that freedom to serve us more and not to serve themselves or to lord it over us. So a father who grew up poor managed to get married. Let's say he's a cart pusher or he drives a danfo in Lagos. His wife is selling soup items in the market. Where will he, how will such a man have a child that will go out student loan act that the son should enter into what's it called debt because he wants to go to school? They'll see how they've always survived. If they are Christians, they will go to somewhere and pray for 48 hours. Miraculously, somebody walks up to him and says, I want to train your son to learn carpentry. He will go and learn the carpentry. That's how they're surviving in this country. Learn carpentry. The poverty cycle most likely continues. Henry, are you with me on this? So we are not back then. They understood why was federal government giving scholarships back in the day. Why was he giving scholarships? And then what now happened to those scholarships? What happened?
Which, of course, Bola Ahmed
and their lives enjoyed. Yes. Why did the federal government give scholarships? Why? Because they knew that to say, okay, if you want to go to school, you'll go. It was not going to work. Those people that brought those policies saw how some households will say they don't want to that because they didn't know the value of education. Maybe they send their younger children to go to school, or they send their slaves to go to school. They know that education was a powerful thing. So in the generation that came next, our leaders didn't think that they should waste time anymore. They thought as many as we can train, let's pack them and give them scholarships. It was the Obama's father left Kenya through what they call the airlift. It was a scholarship program that took him to America. He met his mother there. The lady there got her pregnant. She gave birth to Barack Obama. He became American president. So to say that we should not think first what we need education for. In fact, today is the day we even need greater. Have you ever heard any Nigerian president talk about AI or talk about innovations that are taking place now in the world today? Are there people that Nigeria is training to learn these trends? Are there any people like that? I'm not sure. Does Nigeria have any deliberate scheme to train certain people that, look at in Babylon, the Babylonian civilization, when Nebuchadnezzar arrested those Jewish youths, what did he do? He said, go and check among them. The ones who are brilliant, intelligent, we'll train them in our language, teach them our literature, teach them our science, teach them our art, so that they can think Babylonian and give us solutions. Where does Nigeria have any deliberate program to produce big-time scholars that can challenge that can stand their ground and challenge anybody in the world, that can stand their ground in the world? Are we doing that? We're not. If we are not, then there's a problem.
Now, thinking Babylonian, like you did just say, if you take a look at what we run in our country, Nigeria is almost copying hook, line, and sinker. Everything that happens in the United States of America. A presidential system is always looking like this. And the student loan program is what is everywhere in the United States of America. Students take as much loan as they get. Some of them, still fall on students' debt, not able to pay it, and so on and so forth. So would you say that copying that from America and pasting it in Nigeria is not as good as it is?
As it's been touted?
Yes.
Let me give you this answer. Why was the student loan program introduced? I give an example. Like I said, every government looks at what it wants to achieve, then writes policy to achieve it. The president was quoted on tape as saying, we have to reduce their spending. What does the name he called? He said that they must reduce Nigeria's purchasing power to slow down the economy, then tax them more. Look at the president's own words.
He said that.
It's everywhere. That's the president's own word. For all you care, America may have introduced, the policies America ran before the Depression and the ones that ran after the Depression and even after World War II, go and check, they couldn't have all been the same. They look at the prevailing circumstances at that time and look at where they are. So, for example, if they needed to introduce that to make sure that only those who are interested in going to school went to school, then it's okay for them. You get what I'm saying? A lot of those guys you see in Hollywood are not graduates. Most of them. Talented, there's space for you. Talented, there's space for you. Do we have such a climate in Nigeria where if you're talented, your talent can take you as far as you want to go? I'm not aware if there's anything like that. So that only those who really want to be pedagogic and academic can, rough it out and say, I want to be a lawyer. They go to school. Because you see, this thing about a loan is something in which is something that requires people, Obama and co. I think Obama finished paying his own loan when he became president also. Right. So that's somebody who is responsible, who has the brains and the drive. So even if he's a school, he will go because the future he sees for himself is one that requires him to be in school. All right. So those who don't wish to have anything to do with a student loan can afford to let it go and still become all that they feel they want to be. A lot of American screen actors are people who just have a talent, went to a place, audition, and began to get roles. There is a civilization that is within that corridor also. All right. So why is Nigeria introducing the student loan scheme? The only way I can look at it, I'm sorry, would be to say government is abdicating its responsibility to free up more money that they can steal. Is that not so? They took subsidy away. Now we don't know whether they are still. You will hear tomorrow that they need to subsidize this loan scheme. Believe me. You will hear tomorrow, right, that they want to subsidize this same loan scheme, and you'll be wondering what sort of voodoo economics is this. So what we need to do, we even ought to have students that we are sponsoring to research into Africa's illustrious past and to recover it. When I was in primary school, there was a leaf we used to, on my way to, there was a place after school in the evenings, we went for extramural classes. All right? Back then, in my hometown, Okrika, there was a place when we were passing, there's a particular leaf we used to just pluck and chew like that. And it was sweet in the mouth. I'm not sure that thing is even still there till today. I don't know the name, the botanical name, what it did, the properties it had, and what it could do if put in a pharmaceutical lab. I don't know. Moringa. I didn't know about moringa until 2010, I think, or 11. I was in Oshu, when I met one of Nigeria's leading taxonomists. Taxonomy is plant science and plant study. A taxonomist knows almost all the plants, on the planet. So he took me to his house. It was a big compound. We went in. Fish pond, mango tree, orange, everything that you will take in his house is something that is got from the farm. Fresh. Was farm fresh. So I saw his fish pond and everything. And then he said, young man, go to that tree, pluck, in his words, pluck those leaves and start and chew like, I said, okay, how many should I? She said, chew like a goat, chew until you can't chew again. He said it was called moringa. I chewed until I chewed my tongue black. Now, Nigeria has a problem with malaria because malaria is endemic in our country. And yet the vaccine to cure malaria is not coming from Nigeria. So what is Nigerian medicine for? Henry, what has Nigerian medicine cured? What has Nigerian education solved? What has Nigerian science addressed? Our refineries are comatose. There is no research, either from Uniben, Uniport, Unical, UI, Zaria, Benin, Lagos, okay, or even Ilorin. They are not solving any problem. And your solution to that is to introduce student loan scheme. How will that the loan they are even taking? Which schools are they going to? Schools that don't have power, that you are learning and they can take the light, and you now turn on your flashlights to be learning in the evening. Master students and even PhD students.
Now, talking about that,
who takes the loan to go to these other places?
Now, talking about that before we coast home, I'd love you to speak on the accessibility of these loans. So many Nigerians have come up to say that this might be looking like a loan targeted at those who were loyal to the government. How true do you think this is? I
wouldn't be surprised because you see, it will be opaque. They brought in Jim Ovia. I mean, he's a man I admire.
Isn't it Bank Chairman?
Yes, I admire him. not because I know him too well, but because I mean the likes of Elumelu, Ovia, even Peter Side, okay, and the rest of them. These guys, they introduce the, shall I say, avant-garde of modern Nigerian banking. You know, I mean, I think they more than anyone else has made Nigerian banking global. I mean, you can travel to, yes. So, and then they bring this energy and this drive, and they've built an entire civilization in banking, which is great. Maybe after the generation of the likes of Anthony, this man from Delta, I can't pick his name now. The boardrooms are Nigeria's the original boardrooms. I can't pick. I mean, it's been a while he passed. But let's come to the issue on the table. They brought in Jim Ovia. It's fine that he's there. I hope he's able to bring his wealth of knowledge and understanding to bear, wisdom to bear in the assignment that he's been given. But I fear that in the end, they may politicize this thing, and it will be somebody called and said, and the day they introduce subsidy back into this whole program, just know that this thing is, if I became president, I'll scrap it. Because it does not, it is a road leading nowhere. I've told you the thing that we should prioritize. The president should give Nigerian scientists a technology target. We need a Nigerian-made phone in the next 2 years. He should give such a target. There was a young in Soka can do that for us. The mechanical engineering lab at Onsoka should to give us. There was a student at Onsoka who did a project and said he designed the orange peeling machine. Can you imagine that till today we are still eating farm produce the way it came out of the farm? That's not civilization. Orange that Nigerians take all the time. We still go, you can take the orange and you start peeling. It's not done that way. Who introduced the knife? Before knives came, how are we eating oranges? Knives cannot be the last civilization. There must be something after knife. I don't know what happened to the machine that the young one was inventing. We should be doing this and not further stifle access to education. It will help us. Mr. President, scrap this bill. Then let us go. Let's ask ourselves, what are we going to school for? That's the first question. We are, like I said, we are a disadvantaged group. Nigeria is not a country of consequence in the world. We are not. If a any Nigerian who people can do that, is because he personally fought his way to become that. But all the countries in the world sponsor the people to become greater and greater. Look at America in 1962 or 3, when President Roosevelt, President Kennedy went to Rice University and said, we must go to the moon. They did it the following year or 2 years later. They went to the moon. There was even, in fact, after Russia went to the moon, do you know that the Americans planned to bomb the moon? After Russia went to space, the Americans planned to bomb the moon to make it to, because of the rivalry between East and West. So what are we going to school for? Is Nigeria's education going to be focused on we used to do very well in tropical medicine back in those days. Are we going to be investing in research? A school like UI, there was a story there that said that they didn't even have a life-saving machine. Have you been to some of our tertiary institutions? Luth, UI, and all these places. If you went to the emergency wards, it's a shame. Places where doctors are packing their bags and running away. And yet we will say that that's the pride of our nation. Let us think better. If this thing will help us, it will not. Nigerians like to achieve things, they like to drive, they like to push, but government now coming, this is a very unfriendly and unkind thing. What I would say, if the federal government will not push back, what must happen is this: state government should introduce their own free education schemes. You can study up to diploma, and if you end your diploma with a first class, straight to PhD. I can tell you, maybe they put a clause and say after you've studied, you must stay back in Nigeria for 5 or 10 years. That still works. But this policy won't take us anywhere. I can tell you, it won't take us anywhere. By now, let me wrap with this. Rivers State University of Science and Technology was Nigeria's first university to bear that name, Science and Tech. It was the only school in Nigeria that had marine engineering as a course for a very long time. What came out of it? What came out of it? Schools like ABU Zaria may have produced names, but as an institution, let me even ask, if you went to Zaria, if you went to UI, if you went to Unilag, if you went to, let's say, Ile-Ife, if you, unless you studied law, what will be the distinguishing mark that you read law at uni just? Do you become a progressive or conservative? Schools without ideology, or maybe they had, but they've shed them. No values, no principles, nothing stands you out. The man that went to the moon, Neil Armstrong, did I get his name right?
Yeah.
He pinned his high school flag on the moon. Nigeria, that would be a serious threat about firestorm.
Very true.
So these are the issues. I think we need to recalibrate. A nation's education system serves a deeper purpose than just learning a certification. We need to think philosophically and think very deeply why I want to go to school, then think whether this policy sits with it or not.
Very, very true. So apt. And it might not be palatable, but the truth remains, just like our guest did say, Nigeria, as it stands today, is not a country of consequence around the world, and which is and should be the reason why our leaders should ensure that areas of priority should be given serious attention. I'd love to say thank you to Cyril Abaku for being part of our show. Importantly, throwing good lights and really making great sense of our discussion today. So we'd love to equally say thank you to you for taking our time to be part of our show today. Please do well to visit our website for more information on these and more at www.enterprisetv.com. Also, like, comment, and follow us on our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I'll see you next week, Friday, for yet another great time on Enterprise Friday. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye from me. I'm Henry.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.